Yeah. Come on in here. Come on, people. Come on in here with your big ass. We about to do another live Q&A. Another live Q&A. Kwame Smoke Brown. This nigga, he been serving motherfuckers, serving people. And I am happy to see it. Because anybody that know me know that everything Kwame talking about now is shit I've been talking about for years. I'm just happy to see a former NBA nigga come out and say it. I'm telling y'all right now, y'all heard my broadcast yesterday on this Kwame Brown thing. I done told y'all, I done seen Stephen A. Smith up in action. I done seen players be like, I done been at plenty of times with tables, niggas like, we don't fuck with Stephen A. like that. But then Stephen A. get back on ESPN and lie to you niggas. And for so many years, DwannBrown was called a hater. I'm so happy because y'all don't understand. Like, a lot of y'all new to my following, but when I used to be on a sports shit real heavy, especially like on Facebook, so many niggas called me a hater. Because I had a point of view on the NBA and on ESPN from a nigga who been around that environment, and I saw how nasty that environment is, and I saw how terrible that environment is, and I saw how that environment pays black people to shit on other black people. I stopped fucking with it a decade ago. But I got called some pro-black militant, nigga. Dwan, you take things too serious now. I had so many niggas telling me, man, so what? Black folks ain't supposed to just have, when can we have fun? Y'all know all the nigga cliches. Man, black folks just want to have fun, man. We don't want to be all political and, man, we just want to, man, we just need to do better. No. I've been having to hear that shit forever. So it feels so good to see someone who's been on the inside exposing this shit. You're right, smash the like button. I don't do blunts too often, but these are the hemp blunts. These are those hemp blunts. I can fuck with the hemp blunts. I can't do them regular blunts. Should have my asthma all fucked up. But the hemp blunts are the shit. I'm gonna roll this shit and then I'm gonna look at some of y'all questions and we gonna talk about this. Because I thought this was just gonna be a couple days long story. This shit ain't going nowhere, folks. And I am here for all, quote unquote, the smoke, but the real smoke. And again, I said this ain't nothing personal when it comes to me with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes. Like I said, the very limited interaction I've had with both of them brothers have been nothing but positive. So I don't have any. Kwame's issue with them is Kwame's issue with them, personally. I'm here to talk about the overall message and what that brother is saying. And I'm going to say right now, if you want them niggas in the comments, if your point of view is, well, Kwame Brown was a scrub, what get him the right to talk? Do me a favor, or matter of fact, do yourself a favor, and don't write that in the comment section, because if I read it, I'm going to light your ass up with my jokes, nigga. What do I end every broadcast with? There are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages for those who are willing to pick up game. I tell niggas every day, you don't look up and see how perfect the messenger is. You question the message. And if the message has validity, then you rock with it. If the message is bullshit, then you don't. You don't sit around talking about, well, he only averaged 3 rebounds and his daddy went to jail. If you that easily distracted, get the fuck out of here right now, all right? Because this isn't. I don't really have tolerance for dumb shit. I don't. Like people on that dumb shit, they're used to being tolerated and given attention. Oh man, they're used to people tolerating their bullshit. I don't tolerate bullshit here. I'm not here to be the biggest YouTube personality. I'm really not. I don't give a fuck about my YouTube personality reach. Some niggas is gonna have millions of subscribers. Some niggas gonna have a few 100,000. Some niggas only gonna have a couple thousand. My YouTube platform is fairly new. I've only been active on YouTube for about a year. But I don't care about having a large following. I care about fucking with smart people. Smart people smart people need a place that we can coalesce and come together and think about things on an intellectual level. You feel me? Smart people need a place to gather and exchange ideas. Smart people need a place that we can go and be like, damn, I wasn't the only person that thought like this. Because a lot of us has been feeling very isolated because they put a whole bunch of dumb motherfuckers on TV. Dumb motherfuckers are plenty. If you want some dumb shit, you got a whole cable TV you can watch. You can go find somebody right now with 1 million, 2 million subscribers to do some service level stereotypical comedy bullshit. You have plenty of places to go. You have plenty of places to go if you're on that dumb shit. If your comment is, he just clout chasing, that's a cue that you're on dumb shit. If a person can drop substance, and out of all the substance they drop, the only thing you can draw from that is, man, they just clout chasing. This ain't the page for you, nigga. If a person can drop all that substance, and the only thing you come out with is, well, he only averaged 5 rebounds. This ain't the page for you. Get the fuck out of here. I ain't read y'all comments. I'm gonna read y'all comments in a little bit. I got more important things right now than reading y'all comments. Now, once I'm done rolling these more important things, I'll read your comments, and then we'll get it in. So I haven't read. If you made a comment and you addressed me in any kind of way, I promise you I haven't seen it yet. Again, because I have more pressing issues at this time. Once I'm done with these more pressing issues, I'll read you guys' comments. There we go. 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 But yeah, I'm rocking with Kwame Brown, man. And I'm telling y'all right now, I'm going to follow this story. If y'all want, look, I'm telling y'all right now, I'm going to follow this Kwame story real close. So you're gonna see me talk about this a lot. Why am I going to talk about this a lot? Like I said, I've been on this subject for years. I've been on this get the Stephen A. Smith coon train bullshit out of here since at least 2012. When I got to see with my own eyes, when I man, them couple years I had Clipper season seats. My seats was on the bottom level. I had friends and family room access passes, locker room access passes. So media, I would go into the media room. So I got to see these niggas up close and personal. And I got to see that these people weren't as close to the players as they project to be on TV. I got to see these motherfuckers really go on TV, and it'd be times that it'll be certain players, like after games, sometimes after Clipper games, Sometimes we would go and eat across the street. This back when ESPN Zone was still in downtown. But we didn't eat. We would go to either ESPN Zone sometimes or the Yard House. We would go to the Yard House most of the times after games. And and let's see, come on, internet. I'm not on my Wi-Fi. I'm in the garage. I ain't got no Wi-Fi out here, folks. I'm on the iPad cellular, the Verizon cellular network. No Wi-Fi out here. But I would see these writers. They would sometimes come into the Yard House too, and they would be around us. And then all of a sudden, you'll see a new article in the Daily Breeze or the LA Times or this back when ESPN had its local cities. I don't know if they still have that, but this is when they first came out with ESPN LA. And they would write up whole ass articles saying that they spoke to a certain athlete, and all that motherfucker did was come in and say hi as he walked past. And I'm like, oh, this whole. And then I got to see how, like, y'all notice when y'all watch them sports shows, they have an earpiece in their ear. It's those producers telling these writers, quote unquote, what to talk about. These writers ain't got time to watch every game that they talk about. They got instructions. These motherfuckers get fed information from their boss, and they boss tell them how to talk. I saw that shit 10 years ago. But I would call the shit out, and niggas be like, Dwan, you just a hater. You just a hater. So to see Kwame doing it, a man that did from the inside, I'm going to follow this story because one thing I like doing, I like rubbing it in the face of all you dumb motherfuckers that like running around throwing that term hater out. I told y'all before, hater is a word for people who don't know what the fuck they talking about. Hater is a word for people, let me say it one more time. The people who just recklessly throw out that term hater, those are people who don't know what the fuck they talking about. So since they don't know what the fuck they talking about, and you do, and they don't agree with you, but they don't have either the mental ability or the information to come back at what you said, they just disagree. They call you a hater. That's why, look, I've never gotten fazed by niggas who throw that term hater out. For you people out there that like speaking truth, don't ever be fazed by someone by someone labeling you a hater. You being labeled by a dumb motherfucker who don't know shit. So that shouldn't bother you or stop you from speaking the truth. If the only thing they got to say is hater, that's a dumb motherfucker. And you should not be concerned about the thoughts and opinions of dumb motherfuckers. You dig. So yeah, I'm gonna start now that I'm done taking care of my responsibilities. What y'all talking about in the chat room? Let's talk about it. I'm gonna read y'all comments and we're gonna talk some shit. What you niggas talking about in the chat room? I'm ready for y'all now. I'm ready for y'all to talk. Somebody said, am I related to Kwame Brown? No. No, I'm not related to him. Not that I know of, but I've done some pretty good family history tracing, and I don't have any Geechee in my blood. Because the one thing Kwame Brown said, he's Geechee. And that's nothing. Niggas, you better know who the fuck you dealing with. You don't fuck with Geechees. Andrew Jackson learned that the hard way. The motherfucker on your $20 bill. Mikey said, talk about Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless. I'm gonna go with Mikey said. Mikey asked me to talk about Skip Bayless, and I'm glad you all brought that up. Skip Bayless was, when he got hired by ESPN, and he first started doing cold pizza. before it was first taped. That's when shit started to go down. Skip Bayless has always been. See, you got to remember, back in the day, Skip Bayless was known as sort of a. Well, how can I say this? He wasn't taken seriously. He was like how T.J. Simers was for the L.A. Times, sort of a parody sports guy. Like he's a sports guy, but he's more of a parody of a sports writer. No one really took Skip Bayless serious. That's why he got fired from the San Francisco Chronicle. Look this shit up. So ESPN brought him on as his talking head, and it was kind of obvious in 2005, 2006. Even Skip Bayless was just a caricature of a journalist. But over the years, and as you young niggas got older, you got to realize these people who grew up on Skip Bayless when they were seeing him when they were 6 or 7. So they didn't have any context as to what a real sports journalist was. So they grew up on Skip Bayless. Now these niggas are 25, 26. And they really take what this nigga got to say seriously. Skip Bayless is a clown that was never legitimate amongst honest sports circles. ESPN made him a legitimate. They legitimized him. I'm glad Kwame Brown calling him out. Yes, Stuart Scott was the best. Stuart Scott is who got me in the Sports Center back in the day. I met Stuart Scott too. I would run across him every year at All-Star Weekend because I would always go to the ESPN party at All-Star Weekend. I like the ESPN party because them niggas, my fat ass, they serve dinner and breakfast. Like the ESPN party, especially the All-Star Weekend in Phoenix, because you'd be partying till like 5 in the morning. So you would stop at the ESPN party around 8 o'clock to get some of that drink, free drink. You go to some other parties, and then at about 2 or 3, when you done, the clubs and the other All-Star Weekend parties are calming down, you can go right back to the ESPN party and get a free breakfast. And I would always see Stuart Scott there. And when I would see him, I go, booyah! He was like, hey, how you doing there, big man? Stuart Scott was a real one. But somebody asked me, well, are there any real journalists and commentators? No. Let me tell y'all something about sports talk. Let me tell y'all something. Let me give y'all some quick game about sports journalism. There are only 2 companies, Fox and Disney. Disney and Fox. ESPN is Disney. What does Disney do? What does Disney do? How did Disney make their money? Off fairy tales. If you're going to work for ESPN, you have to sell fairy tales. That's why just have a basic conversation with most of these sports people about, let's say, I'm gonna throw up another a hot button issue for a lot of you dumb niggas. LeBron James. Say 2 honest things about LeBron James, and what are most of these soft ass niggas gonna do? Why you gotta hate? He's a good father. They're gonna go right to a fucking story and not deal with the facts. You just say, all you gotta do is look, this ain't no personal. All you gotta do is say is LeBron James don't like shooting, he don't like going to the line at the end of games. LeBron avoids contact at the end of games. That's why he passes the ball. Because he doesn't trust his free throws. Which is true. He shoots like under 70%, which is terrible for a guard or a forward. All you gotta do is say that honest thing, and you're gonna have 7 out of 10 dudes go into a story. They're not gonna deal with the fact that the nigga don't like shooting free throws. That's because of ESPN. That's because of Skip Bayless, Fox Sports. Because Fox Sports they sell you stories too. So they create stories about the game and don't talk about the fucking game itself. That's why I stopped fucking with sports TV. I stopped fucking with sports TV a long time ago because they're there to sell you a story, a narrative. It's all about pushing a narrative. They got niggas thinking that Giannis Antetokounmpo was better than Anthony Davis. The fuck out of here. Skip is not being a Skip. What is masquerading as objective? Look, let me tell y'all something. When it comes to First Take, mind you, I know people who've been on First Take. All right, but one thing I don't do is drop names because I say a lot of controversial shit. So I don't want people who fuck with me to get implicated in some shit that I said, because these niggas still got to go to ESPN and work. I don't give a fuck about a job at ESPN, so I don't drop names. But let me tell you something. In order for you to work at ESPN/Fox, they're the same thing. Producers give you a topic, and it's your job to play the pro side or the negative side. They keep the conversations boxed in. You get to take this side or that side of a very few limited subjects. All of ESPN, all of Fox is contrived. Think about it. A basketball game is only 48 minutes long. A hockey match is 60 minutes long. A baseball game is like 17 hours long. That's another story. A football game is 60 minutes long. How do you cover 24 hours of news on a game that lasts 48 minutes on 4 different networks? How do you do that? You create stories. You create narratives. You create fantasy. That's how you have 24 hours of content across 4 networks over a game that lasts only 48 minutes. Think. Back before ESPN started creating all these narratives, remember back before Disney bought it? Them niggas had lumberjack competitions, swimming, the strongman competition. Remember at noon on ESPN back in the 90s, if it was like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, you watching some white man pull a fucking fire truck. Back in the day, I appreciate that, Tan. Back in the day on ESPN, you had, nigga, table tennis championships. It wasn't all these sports programs on TV all day because there's really nothing to talk about. Well, there is. I can tell you back. Now, I could talk sports all day, but the point of view of a real sports person watching sports, the casual person, the casual fan can't keep up. Like, you can't talk about sports a lot. Like, if I'm talking about sports all day, like when I have my basketball shows, when I do talk about basketball, I'll talk about, okay, what system a team is running and how to use the X's and O's to say, let's just say a defense in the NBA runs a zone system. And usually that zone is a 1-3-1 or a 2-3, the NBA style 2-3. I'm sorry, 3-2. 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom. I'll come in and talk about, okay, what kind of offense are you going to run against that? I'll say, okay, yeah, you're going to have to line your power forward up in the short corner, because the short corner is the void within a 2-3 deep within 3-2 defense. And when you line your power forward up in the short corner, you're going to have your center on opposite block and your small forward at the elbow and your point guard at the top, and then you're going to run a down screen. But if I start talking about shit like that, unless you're a basketball fiend, you're going to turn the channel. You're not going to talk real basketball strategy. You're not going to say, hey, the reason, you're not going to say, okay, oh yeah, the reason why this player didn't win a championship is because his teammates, he made the right pass, but his teammate didn't do the right thing, and he loves. That's for you emotional niggas. But it works. Because basketball is full of casual fans of emotional ass niggas. That's why I like watching boxing. Because in boxing, ESPN don't talk about boxing that much. So boxing ain't got that many casual fans. So if you have a conversation on boxing, you generally talking about somebody who's into boxing. But basketball, a lot of you think, just tell the truth. Most of these niggas that watch basketball would rather be crocheting a dress for themselves. Or they'd rather be goddamn looking up pictures of E.J. Johnson for inspiration on how to dress. That's what most of these niggas is. Why are you hating? That's that Disney effect on sports. Yeah, Kobe's detail was dope. I like that shit. Kobe's detail was dope. Because, yeah, I see the game as a coach, as a chess match. Okay, well, how can I use these chess pieces to win a game? And then I got to deal with, anytime I talk about sports, some dumb nigga jumping up in the comment section talking about, well, this person averaged 4.7 blocks a game. And I got a question. Why you niggas who weren't even good at math always talking math when it comes to sports? Anyway. Nigga ain't took no statistics class. Be the first to want to bring up some numbers. I hated math. I don't want to talk about that shit when I talk about sports. But I was good at it. So if you want to talk about, I was good at stats. Yeah, people saying, I see it. Yeah, you're right, Courtney. People all of a sudden become mathematicians when it comes to points, rebounds, and assists. Can I say happy birthday to my guy Nick Gurr from Ghana? Yeah, happy birthday, Nick Gurr from Ghana. Happy birthday from LA, Los Angeles, California, all the way out to Ghana. Happy birthday to you, motherfucker. Let's see here. Stats were created for people who don't know what the fuck they looking at. Well, not created. Stats were always used, but stats within basketball circles behind the scenes, but they were always taken in perspective. Stats were brought in on ESPN and like a lot of this shit to explain the game to a whole bunch of dumb motherfuckers who don't know what they watching. Because if you can't tell me how the stat got there, then you can't understand the stat. For instance, let me give you an example. They'll always talk about Steve Nash's stats or anybody who played the point guard, LeBron James' stats. People's stats, James Harden was another one. When you run a high screen and roll offense, and I said this before, when you run a high screen and roll offense, who's ever the person in control and dominating the ball is going to have the best stats. Why? Because especially if you have a good screen setter, like Kwame Brown talked about that shit, people kind of laughed at him. And that's why I knew who the fuck didn't know basketball when he talked about them screens that he was setting for Kobe. That matters. If you have a poor screen setter, the NBA defenses are too good. They're going to cheat across that screen to be right in your face. But if you have someone that lays down hammer screens, you're going to get more open shots. So when you're in a high screen and roll offense, you have Amari Stoudemire, Tristan Thompson, Anthony Davis. These are all guys that set great screens. You're going to have an open look. you're going to be either open for the jump shot, the dump off, lob to your center if they're playing up on you. If they're playing in the mid of you and you're fast and strong as fuck like LeBron James, you can just run over that motherfucker and get a layup. And then when the defense crashes in, you can kick it out for an assist. So if you're in that kind of a system, you're going to have better numbers than somebody who's in a system like Tony Parker was in San Antonio. Dump the ball down, play off the ball. Tony Parker was in the D'Antoni system, he would have averaged for a career 28 and 12. No doubts. Because you couldn't stop that motherfucker off a screen. But the Spurs ran more of an old school style, Princeton style offense, so no one player had dominant stats. So if you don't understand that part about basketball, you're going to go back to talking about numbers. Yeah, Kwame would have been nasty in San Antonio. Because Kwame, he'd have been a dope center in San Antonio off of Tim Duncan. Because Kwame's issue when he played was he had terrible hands. He couldn't catch. That was his issue. But no one ever gave that man credit for his defense. And I remember saying this shit back when he played for the Lakers. I saw it up close. I said, can't nobody score on that man though. Offensively, couldn't nobody really score on Kwame Brown one-on-one. Couldn't nobody. I remember when the Lakers played against Phoenix those 2 years, part of the reason why the Lakers got ahead 3-1 was because Kwame was playing great fucking defense on Amari Stoudemire. Amari couldn't do all that shit with Kwame guarding him. What the NBA did, because they gave that Steve Nash two fake-ass MVPs, what they started doing in Game 5 was they started getting Kwame Brown in foul trouble. And that's what the NBA does. When the NBA wants to control the outcome of a game, they call key fouls on critical players at critical moments. That's what they did in 2011 with the Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat. I was there. I had a homeboy that played on the Celtics. Larry will tell you the story when he comes on my live. Larry tells you the story all the time being in Miami and how the minute Boston got up a few points on Miami, they would call a foul on Kevin Garnett to get him out the game. That's what they did with Kwame Brown, that Phoenix series with the Lakers. He started getting in early foul trouble. First 5 minutes of the game, 2 fouls. That means you can't play good defense the rest of the half. Then you get back in the game, third quarter, start, pick up your third foul with a minute into the third quarter, play 2 more minutes, pick up another foul. They done tied your hands defensively for the rest of the game. That's how referees cheat. But if you don't know basketball, you'll listen to the ESPN and these dumb motherfuckers tell you, well, there was the same number of fouls called in the game, so what do you mean they're cheating? The question is, who were the fouls called on and when were those fouls called? Because if I take away your defensive anchor at the beginning of each half, you now have 16 minutes of free runs to the basket because there's not going to be anyone back there to defend it because he's in foul trouble. That man fucking Kwame was a great defender. Great defender. That's why he stayed in the league for so long. No, he couldn't score worth of shit. You're right. Somebody said that was Dwight's problem. Yeah, Dwight's problem is bad hands. Eldon Campbell, here's another one. Eldon Campbell had all the athleticism, great defender, but Eldon Campbell couldn't fucking catch. What good is you coming off the screen in proper position to get a layup if when I dump the ball off to you, you're going to throw it off your knee? But, nigga, I still take Kwame Brown. That's because I've always been somebody who can see what a player brings to the game versus focusing on what they don't do. But a lot of motherfuckers don't see the game the way I see. You just hear people on TV commentating. And because Kwame Brown didn't work out for the illustrious, grand Michael Jordan, the person that the phony that everyone fucking loves, he became a punching bag. Because Jordan fucked up. Kwame became a punching bag because Jordan fucked up. Took that man's confidence early in his career like that. He had to live with that shit, man. Another thing I don't get. I don't get these niggas that run around talking about. I don't give a fuck talking about why couldn't Kwame say something sooner. He said it when he fucking felt like saying it. He been dealing with it. That's that man's choice on when he gonna talk about it. Who do I think the best player is in the league today? When people aren't in it, when everyone's healthy, Kevin Durant. When everyone's healthy, Kevin Durant. He's the best player in the league. And a close second, Steph Curry. And then a close person after that. Man, they all close. Man, we talking about Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie, Steph, and Anthony Davis. All them niggas is real close. Kawhi Leonard. And there ain't much separation between the top. They try to make it seem like one nigga in the NBA is just like way better than everybody else. All them niggas is a millimeter, centimeter apart. And usually the difference is mental. Because skill-wise, they all got skills. Kevin Durant will kill you from the mid-range. James Harden will kill you with a step back. Steph Curry will kill you from 50 feet and in. They all kill you. They just kill you in their own different way. And it comes down to what your preference is about the killing. But yeah, you're right. Westside Chicago. NBA is all about confidence, man. MJ took that man confidence. He wasn't even a man. He was a boy at the time. Like you said, he was a boy. Well, if you can't say KD's better than LeBron, that's on you. I question your judgment if you don't say that. Like, how does a man come down to LeBron's home and wet 3-pointers in his eye 2 years in a row? How is that not taking the crown? Your team is good, my team is good. Me and you one-on-one. And if you watch the last 2 minutes of them, especially game 3 of the NBA Finals, both years they played against one another. The game came down, both games were even. Both teams hot. J.R. Smith had knocked down, I think, 7 threes. And it come down to KD versus LeBron, one-on-one, mano-a-mano. This nigga KD was wetting LeBron. This nigga LeBron was coming down it with KD guarding him one-on-one and passing. See, that's why I don't go on narratives, bruh. I watch the game. And I let the game tell me what happened. And I draw my own conclusions off that. Fuck a post-game show. I take this shit back to the streets when I used to hoop, nigga. If I'm at the park and I see one nigga when the game is tied 10-10, we going to 11, I see one nigga like taking the ball and going to work, and another nigga who's just as good get the ball and pass it. No, the nigga who got the ball and went to work is the one who's better. Not because that's what I think, it's because that's what them niggas proved on the court. I don't have to say shit. That's what just got proven on the court. One nigga went for it, the other nigga faded. That's how you determine who the best is. Not a fucking stat. Nigga. Somebody said, if that's true, why did the Cavs lead the NBA in scoring that season? If that were true, why did the Cavs? If that were true, why did the Cavs 5 Olympians? 5 Olympians. 5 Olympians. Fuck out of here. And Kevin Love is better than Draymond Green. Tell niggas forever that Draymond Green ain't shit. He just a product of the system. Draymond Green was just a product of the system. Y'all dumb niggas thought he was really some super player like Charles Barkley. I've been telling niggas since 2014. I like Draymond, but Draymond is today's Robert Horry. He's a dope role player. He ain't no fucking star. Nigga said name the Olympians. Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Kevin Love, Richard Jefferson, and I'm drawing a blank to the fifth. That's off the top of my head. Let me go back to my. Let me go get the fifth. 2016. I'm smoking right now, so I'm the fifth ain't coming to my head. Mind you, this is the same Cavs team that earlier in the season traded half the team away because shit wasn't working right. Let's see. Who's the fifth? Next season. Okay, was it 4? Okay, yeah, my bad. 4 Olympians. Oh yeah, Kyle Korver. Them niggas had Kyle Korver too. I forgot the team was that deep. The Cavs also had Kyle Korver. Do you know that Kyle Korver at that time is a third leading three-point shooter of all time? He's the third all time in three-point shooting, Kyle Korver. That was a motherfucker coming off the bench. Niggas had squad. Jordan Hill, he was top 3. Richard Jefferson was an Olympian. Look it up. He was on an All-American team. Somebody said LeBron and a bunch of three-point shooters don't equal. That's how y'all dumb this nigga is. Do you know that the only thing a superstar needs in order to be a superstar is three-point shooting? Why? The reason why they need three-point shooting is because that's what opens the driving lanes for him to get to the fucking basket. Do you know the reason why LeBron James couldn't win shit when he came to the Lakers the first year when the Lakers didn't have any three-point shooting? People said because he was hurt. No, the Lakers were only 1 game out of 8, lost 9 of 10 because the defensive strategy was they would sack off the three-point shooters and double LeBron every time. The only thing that's ever allowed LeBron James to get to the basket consistently is the constant threat of three-point shooters. And not just your everyday three-point shooters. Ray Allen, greatest of all time. Kyle Korver, made the 3rd most three-point shooters of all time. These ain't your everyday three-point shooters, Jack. Nigga, people talk about George Hill. George Hill was top 5 in three-point shooting percentage that season. Nigga. And then you got Kevin Love, a motherfucker who, before he had to sacrifice his game to play with LeBron James, a nigga that was getting 50 and 20. Like, do y'all remember 2000? Look, do people forget 2013 Kevin Love? Do people forget 2013 Kevin Love? 40-20 games every other week. Somebody said G Hill was a bum. Well, if G Hill was a bum, why is it that every team that he goes on happens to make it to at least the conference finals? Spurs, Pacers, Bucks. Nigga, George Hill always happens to be on he always just happens to be on a team that's winning. He just happened to be top 5 in three-point shooting percentage. See, that's the thing with you dumbass bronzexuals. You niggas underrate other players to make your man lover feel good. The reason why can't nobody take you fucking bronsexual serious is because y'all gotta lie to make your man lover feel good. Y'all fuck up the game of basketball because that's what Kwame Brown be talking about. ESPN got you niggas so conditioned to cutting another black man, to cutting somebody else who's good at something. And nigga didn't even forget about Kyrie Irving. See, look, they act like Kyrie Irving was just a standalone in that team when he had the biggest fucking shot in Cavs history. Like, remember when the Cavs were down 7 points with 7 minutes and 49 seconds left in the third quarter of Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and Kyrie Irving went on a personal 9-0 run by himself when LeBron James started passing the ball because he was nervous? I'm scared, pass. I'm scared, pass. I'm scared, pass. Nigga, Kyrie Irving hit 5 straight shots to put the Cavs back in the game. And then after Kyrie Irving did that, LeBron James gets a highlight dunk. He gets the replay, and everyone's saying, oh, LeBron's the greatest. When it was Kyrie to hit the big shots to swing the momentum back in the direction of the Cavs in the first place. You niggas don't know basketball. Momentum baskets are more important than stats at the end of the game. When do you hit the shots? Timing. Yeah, Benjamin, y'all naming all kinds of great LeBron teammates. Shane Battier. Shane Battier won everywhere he went. Shane Battier and Mike Miller. Them niggas was together in Memphis with Pau Gasol getting to the playoffs every year. Houston's best years post Hakeem Olajuwon was a team with Yao Ming, Shane Battier, and Shane Battier. Everywhere Shane Battier went, they were winning. Fundamental, hit big shots, play great defense. Rashard Lewis, another one. And that's another dumbass thing people say. Kyrie was in the lottery. Nigga, why was he in the lottery? Ask questions, nigga. Kyrie was in the lottery because his starting center, they drafted fucking Anthony Bennett first the next year after Kyrie. First pick of the draft. Couldn't stick in the NBA for 3 years. Y'all call Kwame Brown a bust? What about Anthony Bennett? Anthony Bennett was taken #1 by the Cavs and was out of the league in 3 seasons because he sucked. But you want to blame Kyrie. Fuck out of here. I was in Cleveland when Kyrie was a rookie. You remember that year they lost 22 games in a row? Yeah, I had a homeboy that played for the Cavs that season. I was there. I saw what the work Kyrie put in. I said back then, that team used to always get blown out. But anytime the game was close, anytime the game was like a 5-point game, the Cavs are down 5 or 2 minutes left, this nigga rookie Kyrie would go to work. Everybody in the NBA knew that nigga was the one. It's the reason why LeBron James came back to Cleveland. He knew who Kyrie was. You dumb niggas that don't watch basketball didn't know. But anyone who knew Kyrie was the next nigga. But you got to have a basketball eye to see that. You can't just sit back and wait for ESPN to tell you the news. It's another reason why Kyrie Irving, you niggas all marginalized Kyrie Irving. It's for the same thing that Kwame Brown talking about. Kyrie Irving is a black man who thinks for himself, who has a strong black father in his life. Somebody said the name. I'm not even going to repeat it, but somebody said the name of why I was in Cleveland, but I'm not going to repeat it in the chat. Well, anyway, Kyrie Irving talked about it. Kyrie Irving talked about it. I'm not Kyrie Irving. Kwame Brown talked about it. They don't fuck with black men that got their head on straight with strong black fathers. So the reason why Kyrie Irving can be one of the greatest point guards we've ever seen, he definitely has the greatest handle we've ever seen. Both Isaiah and Iverson gave it up to Kyrie Irving. We ain't never seen anybody dribble a ball like that nigga. You don't appreciate his greatness because the media never highlights his greatness. Now he does things so great that sometimes they have to acknowledge it, but they don't highlight it. And they're very quick to cut him when he does something great, to say what he didn't do. Lies of omission are the worst lies. Because when you omit all the good things someone does, and you omit the skill that they have, you omit what they bring to the game, and you only talk about the few things that they don't do right, it's going to create a certain perception in your mind of that person. So people get these slanted thoughts through this slanted fucking media. So people say things like, well, Kyrie can't carry a franchise. Okay. It's only 2 or 3 people in the league at any time that can carry a franchise. Most stars, they're stars and they're superstars. But when you have you know what a franchise carrier needs? You know what's up, because that person that can carry a franchise, you know what they need? They need somebody on the team that can close the games out. Because you have certain players, and this is where I do give LeBron James credit. LeBron James, he can carry you through a game. Just like Karl Malone. Karl Malone was the same way. That's why Karl Malone got 36,000 points, but was never known as a winner. You have players who can carry you through a game. They can do without a thing as when the game is free to keep you in the game. And you have some players who they shine best when it's that time, when it's that moment. Because like I told you before, games are only won. NBA games, even the worst team in the NBA is still good as fuck. If you notice, games are only won by 6 or 7 points at a time. There are very rare times where teams get blown out by 20 points. That's occasionally. Games are won and lost in 2-minute spurts. Whatever team has a better 2-minute spurt wins the game. And we have a player who understands how to control those moments, and Kyrie is the best in the NBA at that. Kevin Durant second best. When you have players who know how to control those moments, that's the difference between winning and losing. Not the one that can just throw numbers up through all the game. Karl Malone proved that. Kevin Garnett was another one. Kevin Garnett can carry you through a game. You have good numbers, but when it came time to win, nigga, where are you? That's why LeBron James was smart to go down to Dwayne Wade and match opposing skill sets. Dwayne Wade gonna bring home the goods. LeBron James will get you there, just like T-Mac. T-Mac could get you there, but T-Mac wasn't gonna necessarily bring home the goods. The thing is with me, I don't see any issue with this. It's like anything else. It's yin and yang. It's 5 people on the team. You need people who are great at different roles. The problem is ESPN and their fantasies and these stories convince you niggas that one role is greater than the other. And because one don't do the role of your favorite player, since he doesn't do that, then he must be trash. That's that dumb shit Kwame is talking about. Oh, because the player doesn't do what my favorite player likes, he's automatically trash. No, dummy. Your player needs that player to win. And that player needs your player to make it to where he can win. Somebody said durability alone makes him a GOAT. Nigga, have you heard of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? His durability makes him the GOAT. Get that dumbass out. Man, whoever said LeBron James, the durability makes him the GOAT, somebody time that nigga out for 300 seconds, please. You just gonna skip past Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who did it for 20 years, who won championships, who was in the finals up until his last year, nigga. Fuck out of here. Durability makes him the GOAT. What good is all that shit if you don't look? Everything LeBron James is still trying to do, Magic did finish 7 seasons ago. What good is playing 20 years is if in your 20 years you still ain't did what Magic did in 13. Magic, speaking of finals appearances, Magic went to 9 finals and won 5 championships and had over 10,000 assists in fucking 12 seasons. The 13th was just a half a season. And you want me to take someone who still ain't caught Magic and none of that shit, still playing, chasing Magic, and say that's better for... Oh. Fuck out of here. You niggas don't be thinking, man. Again, this is what Kwame Brown's talking about. Y'all listen to these misleading ass motherfuckers on ESPN that's been selling you a story and keeping the conversation limited to 2 players. Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Michael Jordan, LeBron James. That's what happens when you watch these dumbass sports networks that keep you fighting and arguing about 2 people. Jordan was great, but he needed Pippen. Pippen can carry you. Pippen can carry you throughout the game. And I'm saying this, look, I'm telling you, look, if there's any player I dislike the most when they played, it's Scottie Pippen. When Scottie Pippen played, I could not stand that long-nosed, flat-top having motherfucker. Let me tell you the truth. See, a lot of you niggas is too young to remember this, but back in the day before NBA League Pass, the reason why the Jordan mythology is so big was because if you had cable, you could get WGN TV. And WGN played all local Chicago Bulls games. So back in the 80s and the 90s, not only did you see Michael Jordan every Sunday on the nationally televised NBC game, if you were really into basketball, you could see him play throughout the week. Michael Jordan was the only player that we could all see play nationally every game because there was no NBA League Pass. So in 95, 96, when he was going for that second back-to-back, 91, 92, we all got to grow up on Jordan if you had cable. I lived in LA, but I got to get WGN from Chicago, which televised all of Jordan's games. No other player had that. So I got to see Scottie Pippen piss me off every day as a kid. Because I'm just a basketball fan. I'm a basketball fiend. I've always been one. I saw every single Laker game in the 90s and the 2000s. Like I said, saw 98% of Kobe's games. I've been to see Kobe live at least 200 times. I've seen Kobe Bryant personally at Staples Center or in Charlotte. I've flown around the country to see Kobe play. And Kevin Durant. I've seen Kevin Durant play at least 100 times live in person. I was at Kevin Durant's first playoff game. I'm a basketball fiend. But WGN was the only non-Laker games we could watch in LA. So we saw all them Bulls games. And this nigga Scottie Pippen would really carry the team. He made it to where Michael Jordan can strike Michael Jordan can feel himself through the game. And that's what Phil Jackson used to teach. You feel your way through the game. And you strike at the right times. Michael Jordan, Pippen would carry the team. But right when the other team would start getting a little bit of momentum, and you know, then that's when Jordan would come in. Kill the other team's hope off. And Pippen would be the one that you had to worry about. Scottie Pippen would be the one. Then Jordan would go to the bench, and you'd be thinking, okay, cool, we're going to do something. This nigga Scottie get in running a triangle on your ass. All of a sudden, Scottie got the ball. Boom. Kick off to Ron Harper. Bucket. This nigga Scottie got the ball. Oh, they're going to run pinch post. They were running the pinch post a lot with Tony Kukoc. Scottie come down. The pinch post would be when you would beat either a guard. Usually it was either Ron Harper or Tony Kukoc. They would come and flash up to the top of the key, and the ball handler would then dump the ball in to whoever was at the top of the key. That would either be Ron Harper or Tony Kukoc, or back in the older Bulls days, Horace Grant. And then he would throw it into Horace Grant or whoever's at the top, do a rub screen to the basket. Horace Grant pivots. He now has either the wide open 20-footer or he has a dump down to Scottie. And usually he would dump it back down to Scottie into the post, and Scottie would go to work. And they'd be like, God damn, this nigga Jordan on the bench. We think we about to come back. And this nigga Scottie Pippen will start busting your ass. See, a lot of you niggas only watch the little bullshit ass NBC game. And then y'all watch the highlights. And they be like, and Scottie Pippen ain't shit. Tell that to a nigga that's seen that nigga play. Now, bitch, not only memory, I know the triangle offense. I told you my boy used to coach for the Lakers. So I would just go into watch him do film sessions for shits and giggles. And I had a friend that played with the Timberwolves when Kurt Rambis was the coach that 1 year, and they tried to run the triangle with fucking Johnny Flynn. The year the fucking Timberwolves chose Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn over Steph Curry that year. Yeah, they ran the triangle that year. I know the triangle plays. Scottie Pippen was a baller. But Scottie Pippen wasn't going to win it for you. Scottie Pippen to get you there, but he wasn't going to win it for you. On the other hand, Jordan, he was going to win it for you, but he couldn't quite get you there. See, niggas like to forget that Michael Jordan played in the 80s too. He was around when Magic and Bird was doing their thing, but he wasn't doing shit. Because he could score a bunch of points and do a bunch of flashy dunks, but he couldn't get you there. He needed somebody that can get him there. In comes Scottie Pippen. Yes, Chi-Town, I sound crazy to a dumb motherfucker who don't know basketball. I sound very crazy. I expect to sound crazy to someone who doesn't know the difference between a pin down and a give and go. I expect to sound crazy to someone who doesn't understand the difference between a rub screen and a backdoor pass. I expect to sound crazy to you if you think games are won and lost on points, rebounds, and assists. I expect to sound crazy to somebody like you. All right? I'm joking too. Hey, remember this, people. None of my jokes are ever personal. But if you come at me, I'm going to come at you just how I feel in that moment. Sometimes it's going to be in a very assholic way. I don't come at you. I'm not coming at you. But I'm going to say some shit. If I can deal with it, you can too, you dig? Back to what we talking about. It ain't personal. But I expect to sound crazy for people who are raised on ESPN and Skip Bayless. I expect that. I expect that. I don't buy into that shit. I'm a coach. I know the game myself. So I'm gonna talk to you. If we're gonna have a talk about basketball, we're gonna have a talk about basketball, not narrative. All right? All right? Back to what we're talking about, basketball. Same thing I used to always coach. It's life. It's their yin and yang. The yin and yang is life. You need balance. I said this before on my live. Go and look up the 7 laws of Tahuti from the Kabbalah. Look it up. 7 basic principles of life. What's principle number 7? The male-female dynamic. Everything's going to have a masculine and a feminine. And the masculine and the feminine don't necessarily mean man and woman. It's just a principle. A giver and a receiver. It talks about the law of duality. The law of polarity. How they're polar opposites. Everything in life needs a polar opposite for it to work. People have allowed ESPN and these stupid-ass sports networks to make you think that it only takes one to do it. It always takes a duality, a balance, a dominant and a recessive. You don't discount the recessive. The recessive is just as important as the dominant. The only way the dominant can be dominant is if the recessive plays his role as recessive. Part of the reason why it was very tough for the Oklahoma City Thunder to work out was because as dominant as Kevin Durant was, young Russell Westbrook was trying to challenge the dominance on the team. Westbrook didn't humble himself into the role of the recessive. Yes, you're really good. But in order for this dominant to be the best it can be, you got to play your role. How do we see that play out? Remember going back to when they lost to the Warriors, when they went up 3-1. Every time Oklahoma City had some kind of momentum coming, this nigga Russell Westbrook will run down the court, and instead of feeding Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant moving, he going 4 straight buckets. Here come Russell Westbrook. Want to jack up a fucking 17-footer that hits off the back of the backboard. The other team gets the rebound, run back, get a layup, momentum done. Nigga trying to play ace number 2. No, nigga, relax and let number 1 go. KD's turnover, you got to look at the turnovers. Go back and look. The reason why KD had turnovers was because the strategy was every time KD got the ball, they would sag in whoever Andre Roberson was guarding, because Andre Roberson was such a terrible three-point shooter. Whoever he was guarding was playing a zone on Kevin Durant. So every time Kevin Durant got the ball at free throw line extended, he had 2 defenders on him with a third, whoever Steven Adams was guarding, because Steven Adams is no threat. They were playing over top of Steven Adams. You got to realize, in defensive basketball, the defensive positioning of the person guarding the center matters. Because if Steven Adams is some kind of a threat, they're going to play under him. And playing under him is going to allow Kevin Durant a driving lane. But since Steven Adams is no kind of threat, they played over top of him. So Kevin Durant had 2 on him as soon as he got the ball. And anytime he put the ball on the ground, he had the center, usually Bogut or Ezeli, flashing up, taking away all driving options, with a wide open Andre Roberson in the corner and a wide open Russell Westbrook. Because Russell Westbrook can't hit an open jumper to save his life. He's dope, but he's not a set shooter. So that's how they played Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant's turnovers generally came because he was being triple teamed. Russell Westbrook's turnovers came because he was pressing and trying to do too fucking much, instead of waiting back and allowing the offense to come to him. That's why it didn't work. Any questions? Yeah, communication is it. Communication is everything. Communication is everything. I keep getting quiet because my neighbors are arguing. I'm trying to hear what they're saying. MVP this season to me is Chris Paul. Chris Paul is MVP this season to me. Taking that Phoenix team from where they were to where they are, Chris Paul. Chris Paul allows Devin Booker to be Devin Booker. Again, yin and yang. Devin Booker's always been a baller. That nigga once dropped 70 points. But he couldn't get you there. He needed somebody that can get him there. Chris Paul can get you there. He needs a Devin Booker who can take you over the top. Yeah, Chris Paul is the best point guard over the last 20 years, hands down. I agree. Don't ask me any short-sighted questions. Is Chris Paul going to ever win a chip, though? No. You got to first ask, was Chris Paul going to be surrounded by the talent that can get him to a championship? Ask that question first. Players don't win championships through osmosis. LeBron James had to get teamed with fucking two surefire Hall of Famers. We got to remember. The 84, 96, and 2003 drafts and 1960 drafts. Those were the four greatest drafts of all time. 1960, 1984, 1996, and 2003. I don't remember who was in the 60s draft because that was a long time ago. But for 84, that's when you had Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Barkley coming out. And Ewing. 96 was Kobe, Iverson, Ray Allen, Steve Nash. And 2003 was LeBron, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony. This was a discussion long before these niggas got together. It took them three getting together for LeBron to win a championship. Not minimizing LeBron James. But he didn't just go and win a championship. He had to have the right pieces around him for him to win it. So the question you should be asking is, if Ewing was 85, my bad. If Chris Paul gets surrounded around the right talent, can he win a championship? And the answer to that to me is yes. That's the reason why they stopped that Laker thing. Because if you went to the Lakers with that kind of organization, they would have made sure to put the right pieces around his ass for him to win a championship. That Clippers squad was never good enough for the championship. Again, maybe I gotta put all this on you niggas. I'm not in my room right now. Season. Not too many. I'm like, I can guarantee you, can't none of you niggas say you was there because I didn't see you. I was there for that season. I saw how they got along. Like, the issue with the reason why the Clippers didn't win the championship, it was a few things. One, the Clippers needed one more deadly shooter. I love Matt Barnes, and Matt was my guy that year. We used to smoke weed together. Matt wasn't as great as he was. I'm not taking nothing away from Matt Barnes, but he wasn't a consistent three-point shooter. That team needed one more person on the wing that was a consistent three-point shooter. Who the fuck ringing my doorbell? I got that Ring app. Who the fuck this? Oh, it's a tenant. Hey, what's up, man? Can you hear me? Can you,
I should.
Oh, shit. Oh, damn it. Hold on. Oh, damn it. Let me see here. Hold on. Hold on.
Bonnie, where are you?
I'm in the garage. Tell him to just leave it in the box.
Just leave it in the box?
Yeah, tell him, you just open the door and tell him to leave the paperwork in the box.
Okay, you said just leave it in the box?
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
All right. No, niggas, that's not no delivery, that's business, motherfucker. Not only do I run my own business, I also have 4 apartment buildings. And shit, when you got 4 apartment buildings, the work is nonstop. You dig? Well, anyway, yeah, Blake was soft. Blake was hella soft. I'm gonna tell you, it was this one dude. I said when I was there that season, I'll never get in the playoffs. One of Blake's teammates asked him why ain't he going harder at Zebo, and nigga Blake told him because he was scared. Blake was afraid to take the shots. Let me tell you something about basketball. The issue Chris Paul ran into was when it comes time to win a game, the defense has to know that all 5 players on the court are a threat. If your second best player is afraid of the moment, defenses in the NBA understand to focus more on you than them because they've mentally taken themselves out. The NBA is a very mental game. You got niggas don't understand how mental this shit is. Niggas saw when it came time to run pick and pop, the Clippers ran that pick and pop all day. I was there for them Lob City years. They were running Lob City pick and roll, pick and pop all day long. But when it came to the last 5 minutes of the game, Blake would pick, he would pop, but he wouldn't shoot. The nigga was scared of his own mind. So defenses will sag off Blake Griffin and they run a hard double on Chris Paul. And Jamal Crawford, my guy, I love Jamal Crawford. Me and Jamal Crawford, I knew Jamal Crawford since back in '95. He lived. People don't know that. Yeah, he's Seattle based, but he lived here in LA for a while, and he went to Dorsey High, and me and him went to the same church. So I knew that nigga from back in the day. So when I saw Jamal with the Clippers, it was just 2 niggas who ain't seen each other in 15 some odd years, catching back up on old times. Love Jamal Crawford. But he didn't play his best in the playoffs. All that, a lot of that didn't transfer to the second round of the playoffs. And I love that motherfucker. I ain't saying nothing bad about him. Just telling the truth. I can tell the truth about niggas I actually like. And I like Jamal Crawford. And I like Blake. Blake Griffin was nothing but respectful and nice every time we interacted. Nothing but respectful and cool. I ain't got no problems with Blake. But truth is truth. He was scared of the moment. And you can't win a championship when your second best player is afraid of the moment. Same thing with John Stockton and Karl Malone. Everybody knew last 5 minutes of the game that pick and roll shit wasn't going to work because Karl Malone was going to fumble the fucking ball off his knees. But a lot of these stat whore ass niggas would be like, but he had 34 points though. Yeah, but what did he do in the last 2 minutes when his team was down 3 and they needed a bucket? That's basketball. And that's why Chris Paul didn't win. He had teammates that weren't ready for the moment. And he was shy. He just needed one more 3-point shooter. You're right. When your point guard is your toughest player, you're probably not going to win. Your point guard can't be your toughest player. Somebody said that ain't fair. Get the fuck out of here, nigga. Life ain't fair. It's the NBA. That's why you stay in shape. 32 point. Nigga said, Somebody literally said in the chat room because he was tired. So what? The other 9 players on the court ain't supposed to be tired too? Fuck out of here. What happens when you're tired? That's what you have an off season for, to get in better shape so you ain't tired next year. That's what Kobe said. When Kobe airballed them 3-3-pointers in Utah, coaching staff and the training staff determined that was because Kobe was tired. Kobe was young, second season in the NBA, first time that deep in the playoffs. His legs weren't ready. So what did Kobe do? He got in better shape so his legs would be ready. It's the NBA, nigga. Ain't no excuses. You get in better shape. Zeke, as tough as Zeke was, he wasn't the toughest player on the team. People forget that Bill Lambier was the dirtiest motherfucker on that squad. It was Bill Lambier that said, let's walk off the court. But they blamed Isaiah out of Bill Lambier's own mouth. Bill Lambier, that punk from Palos Verdes, that was the dirtiest motherfucker on the Pistons. Dirty, 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 dirty. Mark Aguirre was a tough motherfucker. Joe Dumars was one of them quiet, tough niggas. Dennis Rodman was tough. And you niggas forget Buddha. James Edwards. So you got to be a real basketball head to remember James Edwards and remember his nickname. His nickname was Buddha. With that mustache and that fadeaway, you could not stop that James Edwards fadeaway. That nigga was a black belt in karate. Buddha will beat your ass on them Pistons. James Edwards. Yeah, Rick Mahorn was tough. Isaiah may have been the tough. Put it like this. If Isaiah was the toughest, he was only the toughest by a small millimeter, because that squad was tough top to bottom. But Chris Paul was the toughest player on those Clippers by far. Matt Barnes was pretty tough too. But Matt Barnes, he's a role. You need one of your stars to be tough. You know what I mean? If the Clippers had a tough Blake Griffin, who knows? But Blake Griffin wasn't tough. Fuck you niggas talking about. Becky with the good hair. Ha ha ha. That shit funny. Man, CP3, yeah, with Tyson Chandler and David West. And they had Peja Stojakovic, remember that? In the corner. That team was dope. Chris Paul has been winning everywhere he's gone. No, Matt was tough. Matt was tough. I'm gonna give Matt his credit. Matt. Now, I'm not taking away anything Kwame Brown's saying. That nigga Kwame Brown's on it right now. But on the court, Matt didn't back down. I like Matt. I got to see Matt up close and personal a lot play. Matt backed down to nobody. Every team needs a Matt Barnes on their team. His mentality. Someone who's willing to do whatever it takes to win. Matt Barnes was willing to do whatever it took to win. He was not the most skilled player. He wasn't. But with the skill he had, that nigga maximized all his skill. You said if I drafted Kwame Brown, how would I developed him? I would have developed Kwame Brown. I would have brought him on slowly, and because his hands were so bad, I would have had him focus on defensive rebounding, honestly. I would have had Kwame Brown, look, we don't have to run no plays for you, big dog. Just be ready for the dump-offs and get every fucking rebound you can get. I need you to be the king of rebounding. I need you to average 15 rebounds a game for me, big dog, and play the defense that you're known to play. That's the only pressure I would ever put on Kwame Brown. Give me 15 rebounds and play your good man defense and be ready for the dump-off. That's how, if Kwame Brown was put in that lane and cultivated in that lane, it would have been a different result. And it would have been a different expectation. He would have had a different career. He's not the player you dump it down to and run an offense through. But that's fine. But that's fine. Every player ain't going to be, what's up, DC Static? Every player ain't going to be Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett's are rare. Rasheed Wallace, rare. Anthony Davis, rare. Very rare. But at the same time, defensive talent like Kwame Brown was also rare. Same thing with Dwight Howard. That's what Dwight Howard went on. Dwight Howard went down wanting to be Shaq, wanting to be Patrick Ewing, instead of wanting to be the next Bill Russell. Dominate on defense and get rebounds. Don't tell me Kwame couldn't have got 15 rebounds a game. Somebody asked me what would I have done if I drafted him as a rookie, where my focus have been. I said that's what I would have told him to focus on, rebounding and defense. Because that's where he excelled. He wasn't cultivated in that manner. He was given a whole different set of expectations that his hands and his skill set couldn't quite accomplish. You're right, Abdul. When he came out, they should have surrounded him with niggas like Charles Oakley. Real niggas. Not somebody trying to tear him down. Got my gloves. I be hitting that heavy bag every day. That shit fun. What's up, Gooch the Great in the chat? Gooch can't stand that nigga Kwame. I love you, Gooch. But I disagree with you on this one, brother. Let's see here. Hell yeah, Charles Oakley. Charles Oakley, I won't say he tore players down. Charles Oakley kept niggas real and tough. That's a little different. Michael Jordan would just tear a nigga down and berate him. You right, that nigga is a Geechee. You don't fuck with them Geechees, nigga. You don't fuck with Geechees. See, niggas be thinking all black Americans are the same. No, we not. Some of these niggas came off the slave ship, but it's a lot of niggas who was already here. It's a lot of them niggas that was already here and who the United States, look up Andrew Jackson. He wasn't fucking with them Geechees. Them Geechees was beating the shit out of Andrew Jackson, the nigga on y'all $20 bill. I'm a Deontay Wilder fan, so I made sure I got some gold Deontay Wilder colored gloves. A Wilder fan. That nigga Wilder, arbitration just ruled that they gotta take that third fade. Tyson Fury be running from that third fade. Arbitrator just ruled they gotta face each other by September 15th. Let's get it in. Deontay Wilder, let's go. Between Wilder and Kwame Brown, it's the return of the dark tall country niggas. And I love it. It's the return of the dark, tall country niggas. Standing up. Fury bitch ass been running from that fade. Yeah, check for those egg weights. Check for them egg weights. I got some of them down here too. Let me see. When I ain't hitting the heavy bag, I'm hitting with these egg weights. When I ain't hitting the heavy bag, it's these egg weights. Let's go. Nigga, yeah. That nigga Kwame Brown got that spirit. See, I know Gooch is mad, but Gooch is keeping this shit basketball. Nigga don't understand, this shit bigger than basketball. These sorry ass announcers, these Stephen A. Smiths, these bitch ass niggas have been running their mouth, berating black men for too long. See, this issue, that's why like people asking, people don't understand. Like again, a lot of my Facebook, YouTube following is new. A lot of you niggas that know me on a lot of you niggas that know me on YouTube, this shit's new. But for people who know me here locally in LA on a comedy scene, people who know me from my old show, Sports and Things, I've been on this train for over 10 years. I stopped watching basketball over sports shows over 10 years ago because of how these sorry ass, bitch ass announcers are and how they get bitter retired players to shit on current players. My whole life. I remember back in the 80s growing up as a kid, all I heard was, the game is soft now. In the 70s, we used to knock people's heads off. And then when I got to the 90s, I heard all the niggas in the 90s saying, the game is soft now. Back when I played in the 80s, we used to put people in the figure four. And then the 2000s came. And then in the 2000s, you had a whole bunch of retired 90s niggas saying, back in my day, see, the game is soft now. Back in my day, we could do a Macho Man elbow drop off the top rope. When does the shit stop? Now you got niggas going around talking about, well, shit, back in 2005, they played tough. Nigga, but what did I hear back in 2005? All I heard was, the game is soft now. It was better in the 90s. What did I hear in 1995? The game is soft now. It was better in the 80s. The same shit over and over and over again. Hire a bunch of bitter-ass retired players who are jealous that they can't play anymore to shit on the niggas playing now. But them same niggas don't have nothing negative to say about white folks. Nothing. Chad Wheeler beat that black woman within an inch of her life, even told the police he thought she was dead. What does Stephen A. Smith say about her? Huh? Nothing. What did all these so-called pro-black niggas say on sports when the white boy fucked up? What did these dickless niggas say about Brett Favre? Brett Favre came out a couple weeks ago supporting the police officers that's killing these black people. Not never one of these henpecked niggas on sports said shit about Brett Favre. But let Lou Williams go get some strip club wings. They treat that nigga like he stole money out of Jesus' pocket for going to the strip club and getting some wings. Fuck all that. Nigga, either everybody's gonna be allowed the humanity to fuck up, or nobody's gonna be allowed the humanity to fuck up. I'm not gonna sit here and watch a whole bunch of bitter niggas only berate black men who make a mistake. I've been saying this shit for well over 10 years. Hell, that's the reason why I started my old show, Sports and Things. And the reason why I ended it was because the consciousness of the people wasn't up to where I was. I would talk about this shit, and I would get a whole bunch of soft-ass niggas to come in my chat room talking about something. But why are you hating? Oh, God. That's why I stopped doing that fucking sports talk. Yeah, Lou Williams did some irresponsible shit, and he deserves it. But where's all that heat for the white boys to do irresponsible shit? Crickets. White boys do irresponsible shit all fucking day. This nigga, I remember Chris Birdman Anderson was suspended for drugs. When he came back, all you heard was Shaq going, Birdman, Birdman. They never brought up that man's drug history. Lamar Odom, on the other hand, they'll keep bringing that shit up. Most niggas don't even remember Chris Birdman Anderson was suspended because of drugs. Why? Because them henpecked niggas in sports media never remind you of it. Because they know not to talk bad about a white boy. I've been on this train for over 10 years now. Kwame Brown just now catching up to me. You gotta remember this. Kwame Brown ain't telling me nothing I ain't already been talking about for 10 plus years. These motherfuckers, they only pay you to talk shit about niggas. Lest you forget, I told you already before about, I've read the journal work and the paperwork from the Syracuse ESPN Broadcasting School 6-week program on ESPN journalism. Have any of y'all read them books? They teach these motherfuckers how to frame narratives about people. My college major, like I told you before, my college major is communication studies. That's what my degree is in. I understand narrative framing. I understand how journalism creates perceptions through lies of omission and small, precise, exact framing of narratives. Because I understand this on a scholarly level, I can see when it's happening on TV. Somebody said, yeah, you're right. He said only 6 weeks. Yeah. The broadcast school at Syracuse for ESPN is only 6 weeks. They make it long enough for players to take during the offseason. They make it to where players can take it between when the season ends and before training camp. On purpose. 6 weeks. How many niggas can tell you this information? Look me up. Like I say all the time, don't listen to me. Anything I tell you guys, you can say fuck DwannBrown and go look that shit up yourself. In 6 weeks, they learn how to speak masses narrative for you. And you can't work at ESPN or Fox without going through that school program. Everyone you see on ESPN went to the Syracuse 6-week broadcaster ESPN school program. All of them. That's why all them niggas sound alike. If you want to understand how things work, understand systems. When you can give things a systems analysis, go and take in your free time and study systems analysis. Learn how to decipher systems. When you understand systems, the players change, but the game remains the same. So you can fire Stephen A. Smith. I know you got 10 of them waiting. You can fire Jamil Hill. You got 15 other bed wenches waiting. I know the game, people. Yeah, man. You're right, man. Kobe was found not guilty, and they still brought that shit up. Even up Ben Roethlisberger, he's still playing. Do they bring up Brett Favre's drug history? No. The reason why LBJ is not the only player that they trash, because you always got to remember, they always need one nigga. Because the best is always us. It goes back to the whole Judas Goat thing. The same reason why they pump up Jay-Z and they never talk about Jay-Z's flaws. Because you need one that's going to be the shining example. And they've been, remember, LeBron James had over $100 million in contracts before he played his first NBA game. That was unheard of back then. He's the guy that replaces the Jordan narrative. The same reason why you never hear anything negative about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wasn't shit. He was a terrible teammate. He gambled too fucking much. He's a mean person. But he's the guy that sells the league. LeBron James is the guy that sells the league. And that's why I don't have no issue with LeBron James. I just talk shit about his fans because his dumbass fans believe that media hype. And I personally, I'm a petty person. I like trolling anyone stupid enough to believe the hype. I don't have no problems with LeBron James himself. I just understand the hype surrounding LeBron James, and I have a fun time trolling niggas who don't. I ain't perfect, nigga. I'm petty in some ways. I'm petty in a lot of ways. Yeah, you see how they trying to get Deshaun Watson? What's up, Brim Dog? You see how they trying to get Deshaun Watson? That nigga Aaron Rodgers went out. They not saying anything bad about him. Deshaun Watson wants out. Oh, all of a sudden, boom. You're right, Ivor. The media and league scripted LeBron's career. That's why the Chris Paul trade couldn't come through to the Lakers. Because if Chris Paul comes to Kobe, Kobe's on his last legs. Chris Paul gives Kobe at least another 3 or 4 good seasons. Because at that point in Kobe's career, he was too old to be doing a lot of things that they wanted him to do. That's why he tore his Achilles. But if Chris Paul comes, now Chris Paul can get you there. Kobe can finish it off. Going back to the yin and yang. Kobe is one of the few players who can get you there and finish it. But Paul Gasol gave him just enough respite to get through the games. Kobe was that rare case of a player that can get you there and finish it. But those are very, 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 very few far in between. Even they need help. Because still Kobe needed help. But by the time that trade was vetoed, Kobe was at that point to where his legs can no longer get you there. He needed somebody that he can coast off of, which Chris Paul would have been perfect. Chris Paul could have put in the grunt work, put in the grind, and then Kobe just come in and dissect the game. 5 points here, 7 points there. At critical moments in the game, last 2 minutes of the game, close that hole out. Chris Paul would have given Kobe that option. But without Chris Paul, Kobe had to put in the grunt work. And you saw what happened to his Achilles. But you had to get Kobe the fuck out the way if you wanted to keep this LeBron James narrative going. LeBron James' biggest weakness on the court is his own mind. That, and he never developed a dependable post game. LeBron never developed a dependable post game. So when his legs are a little tired and he can't parade to the basket like he likes, he doesn't have a post game that he can rely on to save his legs. But really, LeBron James' biggest problem is his own mind. Nobody can stop LeBron James. Nobody can stop him. But he stops himself all the time. You're right. Once Disney bought ESPN, it was over. You're right. LeBron got David Blatt fired. David Blatt did the right thing. Nigga, let Kyrie Irving shoulder the load. He young. Let's throw the ball down to Kevin Love. Kevin Love can give us 30 and 20 if we leave him alone and give him the ball. But no, LeBron James wanted to manipulate the stats. Give me the ball so I can control. And ended up getting the coach fired for it. Hell no, the NBA didn't do no favor to the Pistons. Hell no. And I don't even like the Pistons. But I know the truth. LeBron James' other problem is he doesn't like running offense. He likes to run his own goddamn offense. He doesn't listen to his coaches. I remember when I was in Cleveland the year after LeBron's left, I got to hear so much from assistant coaches and like staff, like not coaching staff, but people who were in Cleveland, the other staff, the team staff, like towel guys and all that kind of stuff like that. I remember when I would go out there to Cleveland to see some games, I would talk to like the towel guys and shit like that, because the towel guys hear everything. They like flies on the wall. And they used to be like, man, that nigga LeBron James was so disrespectful. Like, they were like, this nigga, motherfucker Mike Brown would run plays. And that nigga LeBron be like, nigga, fuck this shit. We ain't running what that nigga want. Give me the ball. He would do that shit in timeouts. If Mike Brown ran some shit with LeBron off the ball, he'd be like, fuck that shit. Give me the ball. 1-4 flat. Y'all get out the way. I'm going to need a high screen from you, Anderson Varejao. The rest of you niggas get in the corner and wait for me to pass to you. That came from motherfuckers who directly was in Cleveland. Shit you ain't going to hear on ESPN. I heard a lot of this shit you ain't going to hear on ESPN, nigga, because I was around. How you going to say Mike Brown not a good coach? Okay, how do you explain not a good coach? Enlighten me. Because from when I tally it up, Mike Brown was a great defensive coach. Maybe not offensively, but defensively, that never was. He created the Spurs defensive philosophy that won the Spurs all those championships. That was Mike Brown's defense. When Mike Brown was the coach of the Cavaliers, the Cavs had the best defense in the NBA. Mike Brown's defense is what shored up the Golden State Warriors in their championships. Hell, if Steve Kerr didn't come back in the playoffs that year, because remember when Mike Brown was coaching the Warriors in the playoffs that year, they had a perfect record. They didn't start losing until Steve Kerr came back. Mike Brown's a great defensive coach. Now, I will hire him and have an offensive coordinator. But people talk about what a coach is only as good as the players that listen to him. Somebody said he's not a leader of men. Get that bullshit ass cliche out of here. Tim Duncan listened to Mike Brown. Nigga. Mike Brown was a great defensive coach, and defense wins championships. You guys act like a defensive coach is any less than an offensive coach. Mike D'Antoni is a great offensive coach. How many championships he's got? Since y'all want to get all technical, well, he's a good defensive coach, but what about offense? Rick Adelman was one of the best offensive coaches of the 90s. Rick Adelman coached the Blazers and the Kings. You couldn't fuck with Rick Adelman's offense. How many championships did Rick Adelman got? None. None. So don't go around telling me Mike Brown's a bad coach. No, he was a great defensive coach. He didn't win a championship. A lot of niggas didn't win a championship. But LeBron didn't listen to Mike Brown. And I've got that from first-hand stories. LeBron did not listen to Mike Brown at all. But LeBron James listens to no coaches. People forget. LeBron James didn't want to listen to Eric Spoelstra, and he went to Pat Riley and tried to get Eric Spoelstra fired. Pat Riley said, no, I'm not going to fire Eric Spoelstra. So LeBron James left. Because he tried to blame Eric Spoelstra for them not winning. No, nigga, you didn't shoot in the fourth quarter. That's why y'all didn't win. And you didn't play good defense. And you didn't play defense. Niggas saying, see, that's why I never listen to people who say somebody's a horrible coach. The only way you can assess if somebody's a horrible coach or not is if you first understand their game plan and then know if they were able to execute that game plan, yay or nay. If you don't understand what game plan they're trying to execute, you don't have a basis to decide whether they're a horrible coach or not. Yeah, he got Luke Walton fired. He didn't even meet with Luke Walton. Luke Walton tried to meet with him in the offseason before the season started. LeBron didn't return not one of Luke Walton's calls. LeBron stay getting coaches fired because he knows his Bronsexual fan base is going to blame the coach and not him. Omar said they need Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah, Eddie. That movie Eddie was funny. With Rick Fox in it and Malik Sealy. Rest in peace. Stacey Patton. Somebody said Mike Brown didn't execute his Lakers game plan. You first must tell me what was his Lakers game plan. Then I know Mike Brown's Lakers game plan, and I know how well to execute it. I want you to tell me what was his Lakers game plan, and how short did he fall of his goal or expectation. If you could tell me that, I'll listen to you tell me he's not a good coach. But if you can't tell me that, you don't have anything to base your assertion off of. So I love hitting my heavy bag. It should be fun. I'm over here wearing my glove right now. Yeah, Frank Vogel's a good coach. I thought Jason Kidd should have been the head coach. But Frank Vogel is smart. He got defensive and offensive experts. Because Frank Vogel's a good defensive coach. We saw that in Indiana. So what did he do? He hired Jason Kidd as the offensive coordinator. And that's why it works with Frank Vogel. He's a really good defensive coach. This nigga said West was LeBron's stepdad. Ha, that's funny. You keep saying it. What is it? He didn't execute it. What did he not execute? What is it? Because oftentimes, the reason why teams don't get there because they flat out didn't have enough fucking talent. It's not because the coach didn't execute anything. It's because they implemented and executed exactly what needed to be executed, but the other team had more talent. Or the other team made more shots. It's a make or miss league. You can execute all you want to execute. If the shots don't fall, guess what? You lose. The only thing a coach can do is get you in position to where the easiest shot is. Here's what a coach does. A great defensive coach's job is to take the other team and X off their first and second options. Because you can't stop everything. A good defensive team finds a way to stop the other team of scoring in their easiest manner. If I know your team wants to score, if your best player scores every time he goes right, he gets to the basket. Every time he goes left, he pulls up. I'm going to create a game plan to where every time your player goes right, your best player goes right, there's a wall of defense that forces him back to his second option. That's an okay defensive team. A good defensive team will be able to not only force you back to your second option, have something there to defend against that too. That's all a good defensive run can do for you. A highly skilled offensive player can then go to his third option and still get a bucket. A highly productive offensive team, they can have their first two options stopped and still find a way to get a bucket. Your job on offense as a coach is to find a way to get your best players in position to score in the spots on the court that's most comfortable to them. Let me say that one more time. An offensive coach's job is to get his best player in position to score in the most comfortable spots on the floor that's most comfortable for that player. Meaning if I have a post-up player who scores best 15 feet, elbow jump shot, I have to find a way as a coach to create as many elbow jump shots for that player. That's what coaching does. The difference between winning and losing is if those shots go in or not. That's really it. You can design the best game plan, but if the shots don't fall, is that the coach's fault? You can design the best defensive game plan. If the team executes that defensive game plan well, but the other team has more talent and they still score in spite of your defense, that's why I don't get into all that. This coach is a good coach. That coach is a bad coach. You don't know, nigga. Only thing you know is one team made more shots than the other team. This nigga said NBA 2K always kept up with the nobly. Right. What it do, old head deuce? Yeah, man. Let me see. Is Duncan and Kendrick Perkins related? I don't know, nigga. I don't think so. That's funny, though. Shouts out to Duncan. That motherfucker's a dope-ass music producer. I'm about to get the fuck up out of here, y'all. I'm about to go back. Y'all was saying Kwame Brown just dropped another video. I'm about to go in and watch that hoe. I'm not gonna talk to y'all tonight. Me and Craig, we got the show coming up in Vegas, so we got a comedy workout room tonight. We're gonna be at for the show we getting ready for. So that's where I'm gonna be tonight. So I won't be able to talk to y'all motherfuckers live. But I'll probably get back on this bitch tomorrow morning or something like that, talk to y'all. He said Warriors by 12 tonight. We'll see, man. This is a good game. Lakers Warriors, this is a good game. Let's see if LeBron steps up. I think the Lakers should beat the Warriors easily. The Lakers are at full strength. The Warriors as a team aren't that good. So the Lakers should easily win this game, but you never know. This nigga Steph Curry could have one of them fucking nights where he drops 65 goddamn points on your ass. So you never know. It's the NBA. So I love this shit so much. You don't know, so you gotta watch the game. And remember what Kwame Brown said. Don't listen to these motherfuckers. Watch the game for yourself. There are no perfect messengers. Only perfect messages for those who pick up the game. I'm out.